for coming. Welcome. Thank you. We know that your time is really valuable, so we appreciate all of you being here. We really do believe that you're in this room for a reason. So the bathrooms are just out and to the left if you need to use them, and just save any of your questions till the very end. We'll have some open questions there for you guys. Yeah, so we're definitely really lucky to have this panel here. I know I'm really excited. I know I've really had so much influence and inspiration from each and every one of you for my own health and for what I want to do with my own practice, and so I think we're really fortunate to be here with you guys tonight. Brett and Sarah here from Alberta and Edmonton, so nice to have you guys here. So great. So I'll go ahead and introduce all of you. Sarah here is a professional in the field of holistic nutrition. She graduated with a Bachelor's of Education from the University of Alberta back in Edmonton. She started her practice after she graduated from the Canadian School of Natural Nutrition in 2014. Her focus is on wellness education and private consultations. She's educated hundreds of people on the positive benefits of whole food nutrition, and her passion is to empower others with the tools to take charge of their health in a powerful way. So, hello.
You look very healthy.
Yes. So next we have Brett, and he's a second-generation chiropractor. He was born, raised, and is practicing in the Edmonton area. His experience both as a patient and a doctor in chiropractic health has given him a really unique opportunity and perspective on treating the human body. More than anything, Brett's passion is showing others the power of prevention through lifestyle change and stopping disease before it starts. So, thank you, Brett. All right, and next we have Radka. So the direction of Radka's life has changed when her father passed away from cancer at a really young age. Upon immigrating from Prague with a master's in biology, she became a research scientist at McGill University, working in both the lab and hospital within breast cancer and bone marrow transplant sciences. She also spent time in the field of neuroimmunology and virology, where her research has been published, which is amazing. She broadened her education in 2005, receiving her master's degree in nutrition. She was drawn to the science of nutrition and its undeniable impact. She is presently completing certification as a certified holistic cancer practitioner in an effort to round out her understanding of the causes and treatments of the disease. As the National Marketing Director with the Juice Plus Company, Radka enjoys sharing the science and simplicity of whole food nutrition while having fun with the purpose of like-minded community. Radka lives in Brentwood Bay on beautiful Vancouver Island, as we all love here, with her family and her favorite running partner, her black dog, Ruby Roo. Oh, what a cutie. Oh, Ruby Roo, I love it. And here we have Kim. She is a registered emerge nurse here actually at the RoyalJubilee, but she's worked as a travel nurse within Canada and has traveled to 35 different countries, which is crazy. She knows firsthand what it's like to be a frequent patient in the ER, and that there's hope to travel the world. Her favorite question to ask her patients is, what are you going to eat when you get out? Which I thought was so good. It's such a great question. So many different answers. But Kim loves making health easy and fun to understand and empowering her patients to make good choices. So thank you all for being here. You all have such different backgrounds with health and nutrition, and you all have aligned yourself with the Juice Plus Company, and we'll kind of talk about that later as we go on. But my name is Megan. I'm a holistic nutrition student at Pacific Rim, downtown Victoria. I've been with the Juice Plus Company for about 1.5 years now, and on the product for 2 years, so something that I feel really passionate about sharing as far as my own health goes and for being a holistic nutritionist when I'm done school. So we all share that same passion of health and wellness together. We're excited to share with you guys. So yeah, great. All right, so for those of you who don't know what Juice Plus is, I'll just kind of go over it briefly here. It's a whole food capsule, so the company has taken vine ripened fruits and vegetables and encapsulated them for easier intake. I mean, when you look at juicing, it removes the fiber, it removes the sugar, you get the sugar and you lose the fiber. So with Juice Plus, you just get the bare bone nutrients. And that vine ripened is so important because a lot of the fruits and vegetables that we get in our groceries don't have vine ripened. Even if they're organic, it really only refers to how it's grown. It's not guaranteed that you're getting the best nutritional quality. So that's so important. It really just bridges the gap of what we are eating and what we're not able to eat. The food guide says that we need 10 to 13 fruits and vegetable servings a day, which is like insane. I can't eat that. I don't know anybody that can or that would want to, but that can afford to. And what I love about Juice Plus is the variety. And that's also really important because we don't eat papayas year round. We don't eat these things, we eat them when they're in season. And you want to be able to get that nutrients year round. And different vegetables and fruits work together to increase the absorption and the different nutritional properties in the vegetables. So for example, does everybody eat tomatoes and kale every day? Well, not everybody does, but kale actually increases the lycopene of the tomatoes, and that's going to be so much better for your body and absorption. I currently actually work in, or I'm not sure, but I was working at a supplement store, and so many people come in there and they go for lycopene because it's such a big thing for men's health right now. And having it in a whole food form is more bioavailable for your body. Your body is going to know what to do with it. It's not going to pee it out like it does some other synthetic vitamins. So that's really important. Definitely a huge factor in making sure that you're actually getting the nutrients of what you're taking. There's so much other stuff out there, it can get so overwhelming, and I really think if we just get back to the basics of fruits and vegetables, we know that their phytonutrients are so powerful in prevention disease, and I just really resonate with that for sure. But we also have some macro health, which is really great. We have these shakes and the bars with 9 essential amino acids, which makes it a complete protein, really good clean protein. We can kind of go into more of that if you have more questions later on, and I know that the speakers will kind of touch on some of the nutritional value and studies and things like that. But we also have the aeroponic growing system, which I love. You can grow your own food, which is another way the company is trying to introduce healthy living on your own and making it the most nutrient dense as possible. You can pick it off right there and get all those vine-ripened goodies, which is great. But yeah, so that's what that is. And I'll start with your questions. Are you ready? All right. So this one. Hi.
The most important speaker on the
planet. Stealing the show.
Yeah, just us baby.
So Sarah, this one is for you. What criteria for supplements do you use before recommending them to your clients?
So for my practice, I really believe that whole foods are the most therapeutic, and so my supplement recommendations are probably a lot more, let's say, toned down than other nutritionists and consultants and things like that, and there's a reason for that. But first, maybe I'll just touch on why do supplements even exist. You know, obviously we're eating way too much of what we shouldn't, and what is damaging to our cells and our body, and we're not eating enough of the protective nutrients that our body was designed to be fueled by. So that is why, because we are meant to get our vitamins and minerals from food, right? I don't know if you guys have ever seen those emergency packages or whatever, those isolated vitamin C things you put in water, and that helps give you energy. Yeah. I had some friends who drank that, and I had to ask them, like, where in nature would you find vitamin C all by itself? And they're like, oh, I don't know, maybe an orange? I'm like, no, in an orange there's thousands, tens of thousands of nutrients just in that single orange. So definitely the first criteria for me when recommending a supplement is that there is whole food base. I will say that, you know, there are instances where it might be necessary for a short-term time to be on a more isolated vitamin when you have a certain health condition or something like that. But for the majority of us, we just need to eat better and get it from the source. So that's really my bottom line, is coming from a whole food if it is a supplement. The second thing is that looking at quality control is really important. So does the company regulate itself first of all? Because there's completely no regulations needed for the supplement industry. Most of the industry is completely unregulated. You don't know if what you are getting is actually what they're marketing, and you don't know what type of contaminants may be in there. So with Juice Plus, we know that they monitor from seed, like they monitor the soil, they monitor the water, they monitor the seed and the growth and the nutrition all the way through. And they make sure everything's preserved, all the nutrients is preserved the whole way through. And then on top of that, my third criteria is that the company also will have a third party to come and test the product, because any company can claim that things are good. But for them to actually get someone to come in unannounced and test the product and say, okay, is it what we said? And that's what they do, and only 2% of supplements out there have that type of a certification. Ours is called NSF. So they test for purity, and that's something for me that I know I can feel good about. Giving to my son, taking during pregnant, using it as my prenatal, because you don't know that purity with the other stuff you're getting. Not to to mention the absorption of prenatals or any other type of multivitamin type thing out there. You're not absorbing it, your body's not utilizing it the same, and sometimes it can be shown that those things can do harm, actually. So.
Something that I actually learned recently was that some of the other whole food companies, that while it's so good that they're trying to have that whole foods based approach, a lot of them just add yeast to synthetic vitamins and they can call them whole foods from there. So it's really important to do your research and know what you're ingesting if you're going to invest in your health. So I really love how you touched on the NSF certification, because that's just like Olympic athletes can take that, it's safe, and there's so many things out there and different claims, and yeah, just back to the basics, I think. But I thought that was interesting, the whole foods with the yeast, and just knowing that it's actually just whole foods, and I didn't know that other companies were doing that. So yeah, thank you.
Did you say yeast?
Yeah, yeast. Yeah. All right, Brett, so this is for you. What is the biggest hurdle when it comes to making positive lifestyle changes for your clients and other people that you're talking to?
Yeah, as a chiropractor, our number one objective is to keep people healthy so they don't get sick. Contrary to popular belief, most people think you hurt your back, you go see a chiropractor, and that's not our training is definitely to help you and fix you when we need to, but the whole purpose is to teach people to take care of themselves, be strong so they don't hurt their back in the first place, right? Nobody really wants to hurt themselves, they don't have to. So teaching people little tricks here and there are the number one thing that we go after. And I always like to watch people and kind of see as I'm talking to them when they start glazing over and kind of just staring past me and wondering what they're going to be eating tonight and stuff like that, right? And I always notice that it takes about 3 things for people to start turning off. If it's any more than, if I send them home, be like, okay, I want you to go to bed an hour earlier, I want you to drink an extra glass of water, and I want you to get a little bit more sun, and then and as soon as I go to that 4th one, people usually just, that's it, their brains turn off and it goes. So I found that the more simple the solution is, the more people will follow it, the more people will be compliant. If I told you to go home and eat 10 to 13 servings a day, you'd be like, okay, I guess I could crush that down. Like, oh yeah, by the way, you also want to eat a variety, like a whole, like every different color you can think of in the rainbow. People are gonna be like, oh, are you kidding me? Then like, and you have to find it organic. Like, and then GM, non-GMO, and then I want you to, and then it just keeps getting more and more complicated. And as soon as that happens, people are like, you know what? I was good for like a week. I'll take a day off, and that day turns into another week, and then it turns into another week, and then you look back and you go like, oh crap, what happened? And I call it the New Year's resolution syndrome. And you're really good for a little bit of time, and then you fall off, and then you're no longer doing really good. So the biggest hurdle is simplicity. And as soon as it becomes simple and easy to do, people they make it a good habit. They start doing it, and then it becomes something you don't even think of that you're doing. Then it becomes something you can carry on for the rest of your life. And that's what makes, and one of the things in our office is, as much as we are very physically bound, we look at people and take care of their alignment and their nervous system. Nutrition is the most important aspect of health, in my opinion, followed closely by exercise. Those two by far lead it. So we always need a nutritional component in our practices to help our patients, because pretty much everybody has some sort of nutritional gap that they need to fill. And that's why Juice Plus fits in so well. If you were to look at most people's breakdown of their healthy habits, nutrition is the one that's most misleading for a lot of people and a big issue. So I always have something nutritionally, and Juice Plus fills the fruits and vegetable gap, which is what we're deficient on, not supplement or vitamin deficient, we're nutritionally deficient in fruits and vegetables. And so that's why I have it. And the other thing is that it's simple. I mean, you can see the gummies over there. You just throw a few in and you're gone for the day. I take my 8 in the morning and then I'm done for the day and I don't have to worry about it. It's just something that I get up and I go to drink my glass of water in the morning, and my Juice Plus is right there and I take it. And it's something I can teach my patients to do consistently, and that, as much as it seems simple, don't mistake that for how powerful it can be. It may be a small change, but it has a massive impact, whether that be directly into your body or a catalyst to bigger and better things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That was great. That's awesome. Consistency is key. It's just like brushing your teeth, right? Gotta floss. I tell my mom, but I'm not always that good at doing, but I should. But yeah, that's exactly it. Consistency and simplicity. I love that. Well said. That was great. Radka, this one is for you. So how did you get introduced to the Juice Plus company?
That is a very good question. Then I am with Juice Plus company for 17 years using Juice Plus with my family. And I was introduced to it actually 2 years prior, it means 19 years ago, by a friend. I work in a naturopathic clinic and she was our patient, and she was a 3-time cancer survivor, very smart lady. and she told me about this bus. She brought a nice colorful brochure, and I opened it, closed it, and she lended me a book. Then I put it in that book, put everything on the shelf, never returned her book. I'm horrible returning books. Never lent me any book. And until it was, and I thought, this is really cool, fruits and vegetables in a capsule. But I work in a naturopathic clinic, and anybody walks in a naturopathic clinic, it's a pharmacy, right? And we had everything there. Then everything what I needed was there. Then I didn't really pay too much attention to it until it was need in the family. My son, when he was 6 years old, started to go grade 1, and he started to develop asthmatic condition. Because when he was 3 years old, he got whooping cough, and since then his lungs, they were that weak link. We all have that weak link in our body. For him, it was the lungs. And when he was grade 1, then it was a lot of germs around. Then it was 1 week in the school, 1 week at home. It's like to be 2 weeks at home, 1 week in the school. Circles under the eyes, constant coughing, until the doctor told me, he has pre-asthmatic condition, you have to put him on a buffer. I really didn't like that idea. And he sent me home, and he said, you're on your own. Then now suddenly came to me that colorful brochure. I really need something because I tried everything. Homeopathy, hydrotherapy, supplements. Oh, I was the typical lady when you open your cupboard with supplements and falls on your head because it was so full. We call them the shoebox supplement ladies. And I tried with him everything, elimination diet, gluten-free, dairy-free, no coloring. Poor guy, like when it was Halloween, he collected a lot of beautiful goodies, which they too went in the garbage. So I hope he doesn't have post-traumatic syndrome from it. But I had to protect him. I had to protect his environment. Then I called my friend, and I asked her if she's still using it. She said yes. Then I said, I need it now for Lucas because this is my last hope. Then I drove in her home, grabbed 2 bottles, and this time was not vineyard plant on the market, and it was not yet even children's health study. I know, Sarah, you will be touching the children's health study. And I said, Lucas, you have to swallow it. It's capsule, and you have to swallow it. It was no question. And he did. Then he did 2 and 2 a day, and within a few months, this was happening in February, and in April, I was signing him for the karate classes. And he couldn't go even in the gym because his upper respiratory system was so inflamed that even noise in the gym was driving him nuts. He couldn't stand it. Then suddenly I had this kid, which he can go to the karate classes. When he was 16, he started to dive because he wanted to be a diver. He is scuba dive master, and when he was doing his master, then he had to go for the big lung capacity check out, and if anything, it still has any kind of sign of pre-asthmatic condition, and doctors they told him it's no sign at all, you are completely healthy. And he's an engineer, and he's actually nutritional freak, like he's a health freak. He's actually telling me, like, Mom, wine is not actually health drink. Water is good for you too. then he's a really cool kid, and if my friend didn't tell me, I don't think, first of all, he will be no diving, and I don't think even he will be engineer because his self-esteem was almost 0, right? Then I will be always grateful because she definitely changed not only my son's life, but all my family. I started to take juice bus immediately as well. I used to have huge migraine with my period, which sustained within few few months. And when I worked in a naturopathic clinic, which I eventually left, it was quite a stressful situation. And I thought I am developing chronic fatigue syndrome. I was so tired. I sometimes came home and just lie down on the floor completely, like I couldn't move. And I used to run. I couldn't run anymore because I just simply didn't have energy. And suddenly, with Juice Plus, I started to run again and really gained my health back too. And my daughter is using it, and she used it through all her adolescence. Then for her, like her periods, they come and go. All her friends, they have like pains and bloating and vomiting, and she was just laughing and nothing is happening to me. And then it's really, I will be always grateful then, and this is the reason why I share it, because everybody needs that.
Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah, especially when it comes, I don't have kids, but just seeing you know, the people that are close to me, it's amazing what moms will do for their kids, and then they'll start doing it for themselves, and just starting them young on making good, healthy choices. It makes such a difference for them. And he said he's a health freak, so I mean, you obviously had a really good influence on him, and that really impacted his health and his life. That's great.
That is true. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you. All right, Kim, so we're here.
Can I just say I saw her son at one of the presentations.
Oh, did you?
And he is drop dead.
Well, I'm single, so
He's taken.
darn.
Yeah, I called him the poster boy.
So Kim, you work here as a nurse, which is awesome. From your experience working in the ER, what made you so passionate about nutrition as a form of healing?
Surprisingly enough, as a nurse, I had no idea how much nutrition could impact our health. I knew that we needed to eat fruits and vegetables, but I didn't know what it would matter or what difference it would actually make. I just knew it was good for our health in general. I never linked it to anything specific. And although we'll never make disease claims with Juice Plus, the research is incredible. And that's how I found out about Juice Plus was, to begin with, was my friend shared their research studies with me. And I read through those research studies, and I noticed that they're placebo-based, meaning that they had groups of people that took Juice Plus and people that took a placebo, and in the research trial, nobody knew which person was which. And so then the research findings were so significant that I couldn't help but realize that the changes that they found in these research studies were going to be applicable to the entire population, which was really interesting. So Canada and a lot of places in the world are actually in a crisis with our health. And it doesn't just affect people on an individual population, but it's impacting communities and hospitals in general. This hospital can get so filled that we have elderly patients spending the night in chairs, but there's nowhere to put them, and it breaks my heart to tuck a 98-year-old person into a recliner for the night and say, this is your hospital, I know you're sick, but this is the best we can do. And so I was just feeling so heartbroken as a nurse and wondering if, like, why am I even here? What difference am I making? I would see the same patients come back day after day. The thing we see the most in the emergency room now is flare-ups of chronic conditions, things related to inflammation. It's very rare that we see like consistently the traditional emergency room cases. A lot of times the emergency room is full of admitted patients for medical conditions. And so I wanted to help out on a bigger scale, but I didn't know where to turn, and then this fell in my lap. And then it helped with my own health, but I didn't realize how I could help that issue that I was struggling with so much.
Yeah.
So my grandpa is 87 years old, and he's outlived all of the men in his family for generations, for over 20 years now. One of the big reasons is modern medicine. He does have a pacemaker. He also has diabetes. He had kidney failure. He's just very aging. But what I didn't expect to see was that my grandpa was becoming one of those patients I would see day after day in the ER. I mentioned that I did travel to 35 countries. It was getting really tough because it's the hardest thing in the world to know that your loved one's being rushed by ambulance with cardiac troubles to the emergency room, and you're stuck in Ireland and you have no way out. So I started to slow down my traveling just so that I could be there with him, and I was the first person there. I'm that obnoxious person that came into the ER and said, I'm a nurse, I need to be with my family member, I'm sorry. And push past everyone, I'm sorry, coworkers. And it's not that I wanted to save his life, but he was struggling to breathe. Like, I remember taking him to see my grandma's grave, and I thought I was gonna have to call an ambulance. He just couldn't breathe. He was just fighting for his air. I just didn't know what else I could do. He was in a care home, but he was even pushing the limits on where he was, and they were saying that they're gonna have to crisis place him anywhere within a 3-hour radius. My mom is the sole care provider for him, and she does so much for him, and I couldn't imagine what he would do if she was 3 hours away. She does so much for him. And so just the impact that had on me, I finally was reaching a breaking point. I wasn't able to go to work because I work here and he's in Alberta, so I was there dressing and undressing him because he didn't have that care. He had a Foley catheter in. They said his prostate was too enlarged and he'd never get it out, but he was continuously bleeding and hemorrhaging through that. One night my mom sat with him in the emergency room as he bled through a diaper, pads, and his jeans, and he sat there till 3 in the morning before they actually let him come in and get care. And so watching my grandpa go through this, I never wanted to do something that was going to prolong his life, because he's reached the end of his life, he's happy, but it's hard to watch someone you love so much suffer. And it was taking a drain on my whole family. So one day I just decided, what could these fruits and vegetables in a capsule do for him? And he loved them because he loves me, He thought I was making them myself. So when I told him, Grandpa, you can take a bit extra, he said, but how are you going to make more of them when you travel so much? It was so cute. And in that first month on Juice Plus, for the first time in about a year, he didn't end up back in the emergency room for a whole month. So he was in the ER at least once a month for consistently like 12 months. Every time he rolled into that ER, all the nurses knew him by first name when he came in. I'm sure they think he died. He hasn't been back in over a year and a half now. So his heart failure has gotten so much better. All his cardiac appointments, they're amazed he has no fluid on his heart or lungs anymore. They've been able to decrease his diuretic from 80 milligrams to 20 milligrams, and he still hasn't built up any extra fluid. His kidney functions went from 20% to 80% in this last year, despite being on the medications. And after month 2, he got his catheter out, and he's been peeing on his own. He dresses and undresses himself now. He didn't have to get the crisis placement. His balance is better. His smile is back. All the people that worked with him could see this light in his eyes. And I just thought, I never wanted to do something to prolong or save his life, but what do we put the price on our quality of life? And that was the biggest thing, was it doesn't really matter how long you live if you're not really living your life while you have it. And so that's the impact I want to share with people, is because now as a nurse in the emergency room, I see patients coming in with all those things my grandpa struggled with, but they struggle to make the healthy lifestyle changes that would help resolve those issues. And so having this to share with people is just a blessing.
Yeah. Wow, that's so amazing. Well, way to go, Gramps. That's great. Thank you for sharing. I think it's so nice to have somebody who's in the emergency room who sees that every single day. Because a lot of people are in that position with chronic fatigue and chronic inflammation, and I work at a doctor's office right now, and I see it too, and it's hard to watch people continue to suffer. And so I think that's amazing that you have that perspective, that you're there and that you can share the power of prevention, really. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'll just kind of share why I got started with Juice Plus. I've been really lucky to have been healthy my whole life. I haven't had any serious health crises or illnesses, but I've had people that I love go through some serious health crises and illnesses. My mom has had Crohn's since she was 16, so I watched her struggle throughout the years, but she's been a really big pillar and influence for me as a young adolescent for good nutrition and taking care of yourself. And she always wouldn't let us leave the house in flu season without taking, chlorella and coconut oil. And of course I didn't listen, because I was like, oh, mom's this like weird crazy hippie, and like I'm not taking this. So I didn't really think about the consequences of poor nutrition at all. I ate whatever I wanted, didn't care. And a lot of teenagers do that. I mean, they're not really focused on that. So that kind of changed. My boyfriend at the time, when we were 19, he was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And I don't know if anybody really knows at any age how to prepare yourself for that or to deal with that, but I know for myself that was a really traumatic experience for me to go through. And I was looking for answers for myself and for him and for all the people that I love. How do I prevent this? And it got really overwhelming. I just thought, I'm so consumed by fear. And then again, you're going into those health food stores and you want to be proactive about your health, but it gets overwhelming. You don't know what's what. And it got to a point where I didn't even want to eat anything. Like, I just stopped eating because I was scared that everything was going to give me cancer. And I switched my focus more so for prevention and healthy nutrition. And Sarah introduced me to Juice Plus probably more than, I don't know, maybe even 3 years ago. And at first I thought it was great. I was like, oh yes, this is so awesome. And then I was like, wait, what? No, I can't. No, not for me. So it took me a while, and I really thought that I had to be a good advocate for myself before I could be a good advocate for other people. How am I going to be in nutrition if I'm not really taking care of myself? And so I started to make healthier choices. I was eating really clean, I was exercising, I was being consistent, but I was still so tired all the time. And I think this speaks volumes to a lot of people who are trying their best, but sometimes they just need a little boost, or it's not enough, or the quality in the vegetables just aren't what we need them to be. I was working shift work, which is hard on your body already, and I needed that extra bit of nutrients. And I really just wanted to start with the shakes for going to the gym, and Sarah encouraged me to start with the capsules, and I'm so glad that she did, because I would not feel as good as I do. You couldn't pay me to get off of them, and I think it's made a huge difference just in everyday life. Things that I wouldn't notice that improved. Better skin, teeth, nails. I have compliments on my nails, and they think I get manicures, and I just, I'm like, no, I don't. But yeah, better recovery at the gym. Your cravings are less because you're getting that nutrients. Your body isn't wanting other junk. And shift work definitely got easier, and it just really improves the more I stay on it, the longer I see different kind of things that are popping up. And I think that's such a testament to consistency, and that your cells take time to recover and to repair themselves. And so I love that I'm still seeing things 2 years later. But yeah, it's been a really big factor for me wanting to share with prevention, especially. I think it's something that I hold really closely, and I want to share with my loved ones and people that I care about, so that I don't have to feel that fear. I feel comfortable with Juice Plus. I feel safe with Juice Plus, that I can do, you know, all those other wonderful things too, but this is just something that I can add in that makes me feel good about my choices and my health choices. So yeah. All right, you ready for more questions?